about the driving. So I leave it to Junaid to start with the technology updates.
Right. So hey everyone, thanks all of you for joining in. I don't have a full-fledged presentation. I have like about 3-4 slides, and the rest of it we can talk about some of these developments that we have with eJourney as well as GreenRoad, right? So to start with, for some of you who have not been a part of my previous emails, we actually have a project, an enhancement project that's ongoing with GreenRoad. What we are trying to do is obviously we have the GreenRoad app as it is today, and then there's a roadmap of where we want to be, and there are a list of enhancement features that we have actually agreed with GreenRoad, and it's a very long list. Obviously, what you see on the slide right now in front of you, I guess you should all be able to see the screen now. But we only see 15 points over here, but there are a lot more things that we actually have in the roadmap. Now, what was done at the beginning of the year is that we agreed with GreenRoad that obviously we need to, actually ensure that all of these features are developed in different phases, and this is phase one of that agreement. So just to kind of give you some insight, or some of the things that we had agreed to do in phase one was the integration between eJourney and GreenRoad, so that whenever our drivers actually undertake trips, they are able to we are able to identify that they're actually using GreenRoad during the eJourney trip. So that was one of the requirements, and there were 3 action items linked to it. The first 3 that you're able to see. Apart from that, one key feature, something that we have been trying to work out with GreenRoad since quite some time, is the in-app alert. So as you may be aware, in most of your countries where you have road speed limits actually identified by, let's say, the local government, in that case, if you are overspeeding on those roads, GreenRoad actually has the ability to GreenRoad actually has the ability to give you the road speed limit and tells you whether you're speeding on the road or not. But apart from that, we obviously have geofences and vehicle speed limits and so on. And until now, GreenRoad did not have the capability of identifying that road speed, or rather identifying the geofence speed. It would not give you the the geofence speed alert. So these are some of the things that we have obviously been working with GreenRoad over the last few months. And then there are some other points in there as well, which I'll actually discuss during the presentation. So in summary, we have had 15 action items that we've agreed with them. And in fact, by the end of September, we should have closed out on all of those 15 action items. There have been a few roadblocks and a few I would say hiccups that we have had with GreenRoad, and we have not been able to close all of those 15 action items. So this is where we stand as of today. Of the 15, we have been able to close 5 of them. The remainder 10, we are very close to closure, and I'll actually give you an update as well on that subject. The key ones that we have been able to close over the last month is now we have the ability that if your vehicle is in a geofence and if your vehicle is overspeeding, it will give you within the app the speeding alert. On top of that, if you're, let's say, in a geofence, and something that a lot of you guys have requested over the last many years, is that if you're, let's say, if you're in a geofence and you're approaching, and that geofence could be any kind of a geofence, it could be a journey management zone as well. So let's say if you're approaching the border of the journey management zone, and let's say you're 5 kilometers away from it, you have the ability to alert the driver that you're 5 kilometers away from the border. And if you, after 5 kilometers, you're required to have eJourney. So that kind of a voice message will actually be played on your GreenRoad app. Apart from that, you can customize these sort of alerts in any ways that you like. For example, you can identify some key hazard points in and around your locations. And if your vehicle is, let's say, approaching such a hazard point, once again, you have the ability to notify or alert the driver that you're actually approaching the hazard point. And this is not going to be in terms of some beeping or a vague kind of alert. It's actually going to be a voice message. So the way we can actually enable this is upload a text file into GreenRoad for each kind of a landmark, and that text file will be converted into voice and played as an alert for the driver. So that's a very significant development that GreenRoad has been able to do in the last month.
So basically what we can do is creating any type of geozone. It can be, a driving, speed related and so on, but it can be also anything else. And we can customize the message associated to that zone when you enter, when you exit the zone. So that gives you the flexibility to highlight any type of situation that you wanted to highlight to the driver. And having, instead of just a beep, a sound and so on, really a message that telling the driver, whatever is the issues that they are entering or exiting. So this gives us the flexibility to identify any type of road hazard or situation. It can be a construction zone. It can be, an area where we have, I don't know, a lot of animal crossing and so on. And we can warn the driver specifically for the hazard. So they implemented what is called a text-to-voice converter. So, associated to each geozone, you have the text or the message for entering and for exiting that one.
Right. So this is definitely something that we can put into practice very soon. We have been testing. In fact, we were made aware of this on the 22nd of October. Since the 22nd of October until today, within the GGMC, we have been doing testings of different types and trying to see where this may or may not work well, for example. And so far, in all the conditions that we have tested, this works pretty okay. In fact, it works exactly as designed. So we will be reaching out to each one of you very soon to have this implemented in your different countries as you see it fit as well. So that's the good news, right? And then there are a couple of concerns that we have been dealing with GreenRoad over the last few months, and a lot of you may have experienced this as well within your geo units. One of the issues that we have had is that there are quite a few reports from different drivers around the world that there is some sort of missing trips. It can either be as the trip has not recorded at all altogether, or we have had cases where the entire trip was not recorded, where the partial trip was recorded and some mileage was lost. So again, over the last few months, we saw some improvements on this subject. GreenRoad has been trying to work this out in several different ways, and there was improvement. But for some reason, again, we do not have a confirmation whether this is actually the reason or not. But whenever there is a new version that is released, we see a spike in the number of missing trips that occur. Obviously, each version is supposed to improve the missing trip issue that we have had. And in fact, that's exactly what GreenRoad is attempting to do. But we have not been able to really hit and understand the root cause of these issues. But again, that's on high priority, and we're trying to address this as soon as possible with GreenRoad. The other thing, also, a lot of you may be aware, we have posted speed limits activated within several countries around the world with GreenRoad, with the exception of a few countries where it has not been enabled yet. For example, in the United States, wherever you go, you'll definitely get posted speed limit alerts all over the country. But again, it may not be true for all of the European countries where we have posted speed limit possible. So that's another thing that we are working closely with GreenRoad to have this completed before the end of November. And hopefully we should have this activated in all the countries by the end of the month. So that is it in terms of the quick updates in regards to these 15 action items that we have with GreenRoad. These are the top ones. Just move to the next slide. Just elaborating on how we can achieve something that I've discussed on the previous slide. How we can achieve this real-time alerts with geofences or landmarks. So it's quite simple. Once you create a geofence in the standard fashion that we do, we create a polygon, or the different shapes that we have depending on what kind of a geofence that you have in your country. Once you create that, you need to identify a few different factors. Like first of all, to what distance do you want that alert to start off? Like for example, if you're approaching a particular hazard point, do you want that that voice alert to play within 1 kilometer or 3 kilometers or 5 kilometers? You can actually specify that in the distance section over here. Again, do you want the alert to play inside the geofence or inside the landmark or outside? That's another option that you have over here as well. Again, if you're while you're exiting, while you are entering, see all these options right over here. Now, the good thing is you have the capability of customizing text to voice for each of the different events that are here, right? So, for example, as you can see, if you're inside the landmark, you can have a different text to voice. Whereas if you are outside the landmark, then again, you have a different kind of a text to voice. So once again, what we would have to do is for each of the geofence that we create or we have in our countries, we will have to have a different text to voice for each of those geofences uploaded. And once again, this is just for your information. The way we are going to implement this is have the GGMC do it for you guys. As long as we have the geofences created, which we do, we have the coordinates. All we need to do is to have that uploaded into GreenRoad. And based on your recommendations, based on your suggestions, approvals, whatsoever, we will have these different text to voice messages uploaded for each of the different geofences. So like I said earlier, we'll have the GGMC guys reach out to you and have them implemented for each of your countries.
So there is a question from Artem if this is going to work only in English or it can work also in other languages. Actually, I don't know what is the answer. We needed to check with GreenRoad if it's localized depending on the setting or is at the moment is only English.
Yeah, I mean, hello. So I mean the message which you upload into the GreenRoad.
Yes, correct. No, because of course, if you're in China, you're in Russia, and so on, the message in English. If let's say the software that translates the message into voice is not rendering it properly and correctly, it will not be very, very effective. Let's see with GreenRoad what is the ability that is there, and if there is a roadmap eventually to extend to all the languages if it's only in English.
Okay, thank you.
And actually, this is going to help us in basically in rendering in a digital way the road hazard assessment. Now, today we know we have a piece of paper that tells, there is a low bridge, there is a railroad intersection, or there is another dangerous intersection, and so on. What we can do is translating those road hazard assessment into a digital way. And so, for instance, there is a low bridge. We can identify on the map, the circle around the road bridge, or the polygon or the rectangle, and then having a message when you are approaching, let's say, 200 yards or 200 meters from that bridge, that there is a message going to the driver, low bridge, 4 meters high, and that will translate the road hazard assessment into digital form. But it's important that we have it in, at least in the main languages in order to be more effective.
Right. So we will check this. I mean, while Artem has asked a question, I'm sure this question is valid for all regions. So we will check, which languages will this support, or if it only supports English for now, what is the possibility of having this done in different languages? We will have this checked.
Mazen was asking if we can combine. What do you mean combine messages at once? You can create a message when you enter. You can create a message when you exit, when you are inside, or when you are outside.
So what I mean, I'm just. So what I mean, I'm just in line with Atom question related to the language. So because you have a driver.
You want to do exactly two languages like English and Arabic or so on.
Yes, at once when the message goes, it goes in maybe English and followed by Arabic or the vice versa. Plus, is there any limitation for the length of the message itself?
So the length, we haven't used excessively long messages, but we have used long messages for sure. And it does not seem that there's a limitation to the number of words that you use. It doesn't seem like that. I mean, whatever we have actually input so far, it has converted that into text to voice. My assumption is that it's only supporting English. It's my assumption because of the way we have tested it and the way it sounds.
I didn't see a option for languages. However, typically how they work is a text to message that you put, there are some, letters and they get a translation. So sometimes you can fake a different language by just changing, the letter that you're using, or basically writing it down in the way that is pronounced in the correct language. But then, the sound of the accent, the stress is not very, very good. We'll see with the GreenRoad and what are the possibilities.
So since we are talking about the languages, is reading the road speed limit? Is it having the ability to read the speed limit also in Arabic or different languages?
I didn't quite understand.
The speed limit of the road.
Right. It actually picks up from the databases, right? I mean, so they have an integration with a particular database, irrespective which language the actual road speed limits would be in the country. Within the database, it's deciphered exactly the way GreenRoad needs to understand. So, for example, in countries where Spanish or Arabic or any of the other languages may be a first language, irrespective of the language, it will know what the road speed limit is.
So the speed limit exists as a number in the database, and GreenRoad today can announce those speed limits in the language that you set up the app. And today you have English, Spanish, Italian, German, Romanian, Turkish, and Chinese. These are the languages that are available today in the app. So these are the language of the application we talked to the driver.
Okay, thank you.
So there is no Arabic, for instance, and no Russian yet.
I have another question. This is Artem. If we're talking about the posted speed, so does it take or does GreenRoad take the speed only from here maps? So can it be Google or any other type of maps?
So for now, it only takes it from here maps. They have the integration only with here maps. So basically what these kind of applications like GreenRoad or even the other monitors do is they have a contract with, or rather subcontract with these companies. So they have purchased the database from here maps will apply. It will they purchase a plan to integrate with. I mean, again, from what we know as well by talking to different people, Here Maps is the most preferred supplier for most organizations, and it's kind of more complete. But anyways, I mean, is there any specific reason why you feel that we should take it from other companies too?
No, because I know that here Maps, for example, in Russia, this is not so good as, as for example, Yandex One, right? So which is the local provider.
That is something we can definitely ask them. What is the possibility of integrating with other databases? Like, for example, just saying, there's something that they're working on to have the app work in China as well. So I'm sure Here Maps may not be as good in China, probably, as some of the local providers there. So yes, that is a question we can definitely ask them. We will find out of them.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So Raja was asking if this alert for the various landmark or geozone works only with internet, and I believe so, because it's a complex database, so I needed to send a position to their server and it gets alerted which are the geozone around. So it's not something that is stored locally on the cloud when and they know through the GPS and the positioning, the message gets played.
Junaid, this is Tamer. I've got a question, please.
Sure.
The posted speed limit is something that we've tested in Egypt early last year. and it didn't work very well, right? And we had to contact GreenRoad immediately to switch off. Right? It started to misbehave. So I know that for when we were speaking last year that every single country they have their own ranking of GPS signal, and Egypt was not scored very well in terms of GPS signal. Now the question is, do we have a different sort of improvement since the process last year? We're still relying on the same signal.
I haven't specifically asked this question, but I'm pretty sure they're using the same signal. They haven't made any changes to what we were doing until last year. What they have done though is that in some of the countries the databases were not accurate. So they have worked closely with here.com to update quite a few of these databases. But in terms of signal strength and how it connects and so on, they have not made any kind of changes. That much I'm pretty sure of.
And this is also why we are activating the speed recognition country by country, just because we wanted to manage all the various issues and giving the GGMC the ability to handle, because it's not in all the countries, not the accuracy of the speed limit database is very good. That's why we do country by country, so that we get and we can gauge a little bit of the volume of correction needed to be done and see the accuracy on the road of the various speed limit. GPS positioning, is supposed to be good in all the countries. I'm not too sure, it's the speed limit that may not, database that may not be accurate, but not really the GPS positioning or the GPS accuracy. There is, some areas that are a little bit worse, but, is in reality today, the GPS constellation is good, covering all the entire world.
But again, Tamir, I mean, that's exactly the plan, right? I mean, if once we implement and we see some of these recurring issues that you've spoken of, we'll obviously need to switch that off for a while and then very specifically work, let's say, for Egypt or even for any other country for that matter. We will definitely encounter some issues, and then we'll have to collectively take a call whether we want to continue with that or disable it for a while, fix it and come back. I mean, all these decisions will be a little real time. But we'll only know once we start enabling this in all of these countries.
Also, having the real-time alert for the geofencing speed limit, man, that's very good for us nowadays.
Yes.
We never had something like this, by the way. We never had it, even in our.
No, I know, and also with Mix, it doesn't give you the complete phrase, it beeps and so on. And this gives us the ability to be more precise and be able to have the driver understanding why the device is beeping or why the device is giving an alert. Sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere, you get an alert and you don't know what is that that's about. So the text to voice is going to be definitely a useful feature.
One of the other useful thing of those new landmark options, Roberto. Last year we were involved in a multiple fatality investigation, and one of the reason it was pretty much like what happened in Indonesia this year, right? So the truck stopped on the side of the road, and then somebody hit it from behind, and one of the reason why he stopped because he missed the correct stop point, so he had to stop in the middle of the road.
This is exactly what another use that you can do of the landmark is advising when you are getting closer to a preferred rest stop, versus, whatever, could be the place, when, every driver's, depending on the route, particularly in North Africa and so on, you have a preferred place where the driver like to stop, because it's a historical place and so on, and you can warn people, or, you can, definitely customize the message, that to use also for that issue. Just pay attention when you're building this database that you do not give it too many messages and confusing message. So the message needed to be pertinent and close enough in terms of distance for the driver to react, but not long enough that you tell a rest stop and he's 10 kilometers away, so the driver will forget or whatever. So it's important that we adjust.
We've done this exercise. We've completed the exercise and we mapped out the coordinates for the for the 80% of the stop point that we use in the country. So we have this database. If you guys would like to pilot it, we'll be happy to take it.
Okay. Mazen, you had some more question? Your hand is up. I'm not sure if it's from before or...
That was before.
Okay, so there is a question from sorry, Ali. Shahanawaz. Sorry very much.
So basically, my question is regarding the, with IVMS, like mix.
Sean, sorry, I cannot hear you. I don't know if it's only me.
It's very fun. Yeah, okay. Okay,
oh,
now
okay.
it's good.
So my
I do this thing of forgetting to put down the micro.
Exactly. So basically, it's physical access with the blue key control that we used to have with IVMS, but now as we are going away from the telematics device, it's in Qatar especially, we have like GM zone. Out of GM zone we require ticket, and this is checked and controlled by GDMC. However, internally, where we inside the GM zone, we don't require eJourney and so on, right? So in that case, it becomes a little bit difficult for us to actually control without a physical blue key control, right? So let's say if you remove all the video, the IVMS is, and then we are left with the GreenRoad application on the phone, it will be...
Obviously, it's application on the phone, so you cannot switch off the vehicle using the application on the phone.
Exactly.
It's not hardwired to the vehicle.
Exactly. So my question is are there any plans on adding kind of a physical control, or is there any best practice or recommendation that from your side? Because we now are almost, I can say 100% with the GreenRoad, but we still have our IVMS installed, and we just want to make sure that we are taking them away, right? And before we do that, I wanted to see if there are any best practices or recommendations from the team.
No, there is no solution for that. In order to stop physically the vehicle, if you are just based on GreenRoad, and we are not looking at any option. If that is a critical point for you, or in some areas, in this case, I would say you needed to keep both of the device if you want, for security reason or for any other reason, having the ability to control the vehicle in itself. Of course, maybe GreenRoad is not the solution everywhere, particularly security area and so on, or where we had a lot of hijacking, like when I was in North Africa and so on, because this way you can remote switch off the vehicle and so on. These are special cases, and in this case, keep the IVMS inside the vehicle or the mixed telematic, or at least in that portion of the fleet that has that necessity to be controlled remotely.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Then it also depends, because in some country, if you have a leased vehicle, maybe the supplier or the leasing company has a way of remotely switching off the vehicle as well. So in that case, it will not be with the GGMC, but will be with the supplier. I had cases in some country that, for instance, if you don't pay the lease and they have a device and they switch it off the vehicle remotely, if you don't pay the lease, and of course for Schlumberger, but for other company that may be leasing vehicle and not paying invoices and so on. So that maybe the supplier has their own option, but for the moment, as a Schlumberger, we are not looking at having a hardwired control of the vehicle going forward.
No, sure. Thank you very much. No, Qatar is pretty safe, a peaceful country and so on. And it's not like a security issue, but when it comes to like a management, we were looking at if can be. So we'll try to keep both. This is what the only problem that comes in there is like a cost. The management overall, they look at, okay, we are paying for GreenRoad and we are paying for the IVMS. So it's kind of on that point only, but yeah, it makes sense that we can.
No, exactly. Then it needed to be a business decision. The mixed telematic device is much more expensive than GreenRoad. The GreenRoad for people, there is not really much of a cost except the mobile phone and so on. So do you really need that ability to switch off the vehicle or to control the vehicle? It's something that we have done in the past, but if there is no real value more than just having an additional layer of control versus using eJourney inside the field use zone and so on, maybe education of the drivers, maybe today, the drivers are much more mature than 10 years ago or 15 years ago when started introducing this. And today is something that maybe you can go away with it and, saving a significant amount of money.
Thank you. Yeah, great.
And just to address that as well, I mean, we are trying to start off with identifying those trips where, for example, you have an eJourney and the person decides to switch off his GreenRoad, right? And then there should be some sort of flag. So we are starting with that right now. But yes, if you're driving within the geofence or within the zone where you don't need eJourney, detecting that, like Roberto said, is quite difficult, and we don't really have a solution right now. But yeah, if you have eJourney, there's probably something we can do, which I'm going to address in the next slide.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Move to the next slide for now. There are a couple of, so there was these 15 action items that you guys saw earlier, the first slide. What we're also prioritizing are a couple of other key important features with GreenRoad in general. So the one being, obviously, which is a part of the plan anyways, is the integration itself, the eJourney and the GreenRoad integration. So like I was just saying now, one of the things that we need to do is, for example, if a person is using GreenRoad at the start of the trip, there needs to be a check enabled within eJourney, between eJourney and GreenRoad, that the person has actually enabled the settings in the right manner, that the GPS permission is on, the app is actually on duty, and everything is working exactly as it's supposed to be before the trip starts. So that's one of the features that eJourney will check along with GreenRoad. That's the plan. And as the trip progresses, if any of these settings that are required for the trip, for the app to work properly, if any of these settings are disabled, again, there will be a flag within eJourney for somebody in the Journey Management Center to intervene as well. So to address partially, Shanawaz, what you said, this will kind of address it partially, but only for those trips where we have an eJourney. So this is a part of the integration where we want to kind of detect any such discrepancies. So that's in terms of the integration. The next thing that we also want to enable is a specific feature where people are given manager access. So today, for example, if I want someone to have manager access only to a particular node in GreenRoad, or rather it needs to be given access to, let's say, 2 particular nodes in GreenRoad, I don't have the ability, or rather we do not have the ability to give that person, like for example, in this example I've showcased on the screen, let's say the person is to be given access for Algeria and Tunisia. Now that one person cannot be given access to these 2 nodes. In order for that person to get access to these 2 nodes, we need to give him access for all of North Africa. And that is one of the reasons why we cannot really customize requests that come in from all over the place and give people manager access. And it's only limited to HSE people today. So one of the features we will be working with GreenRoad very soon is to provide very customized level access to very specific nodes. So for example, if someone needs to be given access to a particular node where we have a list of contractors, or where we have a particular kind of LTC or a particular location, we should be able to give that level of access for each of those users. And that should ease our requirement that we have that are coming in from different locations around the world.
And this will be particularly helpful because we have a request from Logistic to have access to GreenRoad to monitor, for instance, LTC and so on. And it's very difficult to give them access because they needed to get access to the entire country, so to all the employee and so on. And this is the violation regarding our data privacy requirement that they're being used in order to approve GreenRoad for use with external user and internal user and so on. So going forward, we are going to look into having this way customized access, so people can be given access on a needed to know base versus giving access to the entire country, the entire region, and so on. And this will enable us to open the access to more people, even some line managers and so on. So going forward, that will be a feature.
Okay. With this, we have this. These are all the updates that we have in terms of GreenRoad. Any questions so far? Because I'll then
Junaid, one question about the manager access. So sorry if I missed. I don't know. Maybe so I had a mobile call, but the question. So what is the priority? Means when? What is the timeline? So approximate, maybe 1 month, maybe 2 weeks, 6 weeks, etc., etc. So because this is really very important.
To be honest, this should not take more than a month's time. It's quite a simple feature where we we just enable this access for different nodes. So it should not take more than a month, Artem. And knowing, I mean, not just RCA, but we definitely do have requests coming from all around the world at the moment for the very practical reasons that you cited as well, right? I mean, all of these people need to manage their fleet. So we understand that, and we try to prioritize this.
So if the guys come to me and ask for access for the GreenRoad, I can say to them that within a month we will have kind of different level of access. So is it right?
Yes.
I would say in a couple of months, not within the month, because in November, I doubt that it's going to be ready in November. GreenRoad, they are willing to do changes and so on, but they are not very fast in implementing those changes. These, I don't see the technical difficulties because it's an administration feature and so on. It's just a matter for also because they imagine that they have also their own priorities in the sense we are not the only customer. And there are requests for the various customers. It's a commercial application. They don't work exclusively for us. So the priority is dictated definitely by our need, but also by the cumulative need of other using GreenRoad and so on. So priority can be switched over depending on exactly how much need there is in the market for this functionality. We don't have full control of telling GreenRoad that do this by then. We can definitely influence and pressure them, but it's a bit, it's not our application to manage and control. It's like you want a feature in Microsoft, and yes, you can then, you have a leverage because we have so many licenses and so on, but will be up to Microsoft to define when they're going to implement it. So don't make promises. Okay, Junaid.
Okay. Any other questions related to GreenRoad?
So the other thing is probably if you had not seen it, there is now a passenger option as well that has been added in the newest release that people can use when they are, taxi inside a bus or so on. So it's an additional feature that can be used in order to qualify when you are inside the vehicle or when GreenRoad detects movement, what type of role you have inside the vehicle.
So yes, just to add to this, there's another thing that in order to just make sure that we improve the communication related to all of these updates that keep coming in for, well, not just GreenRoad, but let's say eJourney Mobile or anything else that we have for that matter. We'll have a SharePoint or maybe through Sway as well. One of these features will ensure that all of these different release notes that keep coming in from GreenRoad are circulated regularly through that, so that you guys have all the visibility to different kind of updates that come in from either GreenRoad or any other systems that we use. It'll all be in one particular place. That's something that we're working on. I'll send across an email shortly as well.
So Junaid, today this type of update, like for example, a passenger mode, or is that cannot be pushed, to the GreenRoad through a small ad. Today when you use so many apps, always when you use app, some alerts coming out or pops. What do we call it? Advertisement pops comes out.
Yes. So
because it's an app, so I'm sure that such text can be used. Today we are depending on email. Some people even they never download the updated version of GreenRoad. Maybe they are not aware that there is an updated version of GreenRoad unless they start having a problems of synchronization, the GreenRoad is not opening, then they have to go and reload or upload the app again. But if something like this comes up, like not too much, also that will be too.
Yeah. So I don't know whether you've noticed, but yes, well, to answer that question in short, yes, there is an option where we can ask GreenRoad to put in certain messages, and they can push those messages, but that will be like a small tab, right? I mean, it'll just be a few words that you can actually push in through those kind of messages. So if you want like a big screen, for example, popping up and showing certain new updates, well, at least in the current way of, or rather the current scheme of things, they don't have that kind of a feature on their app. And again, with the number of things that we have in store for those guys to develop, I'm not sure whether pushing this requirement will be a good idea. I mean, I think we need to have a different solution for that. I mean, pushing all these different kind of updates that you're referring to, we need to have a different solution. Maybe GreenRoad is not the right answer as of now.
No, I'm just talking if there is anything related to GreenRoad. I'm not talking about generic for everything, but something related to.
Yeah, GreenRoad will just pop in a small message if we ask them to, like a few words. That's it. That's all that they would be able to do right now.
Yeah, but it's something that definitely, I think Mazen has a good point. For instance, when there is a new version, we can have a notification. Oh, there is a new version. Go there to the Apple Store or Android Store or whatever, and download the new one. We enable, a passenger mode. It can be just a short message. Maybe with a link with the entire release note and so on. It's something that we can look definitely with GreenRoad, that they have a bit more open communication whenever there is a new features and so on. But consider also that sometimes we don't want to roll out some new feature because maybe there is something that we wanted to investigate or maybe having an impact. And so on. So we needed to find the correct balance of that, or having somehow the way of controlling these notifications. So we do not advertise maybe a feature that we have decided to disable or not to implement because it goes, against our roadmap.
Yeah. So once it's approved and released, after the test, after the piloting, now it's ready for the people to use. Then it's a good. And I think
so. It's a notification that we needed to control. So yeah, on that side, I have I have no problem with that. So maybe something again, Junaid, we can look with GreenRoad is having control of the global notification, and so that we can push small messages whenever there is something that we wanted to advertise. Okay.
So I have a question related, from the team, everybody is here, what it's as a knowledge sharing. So you guys today, when a person is entitled or we give an access for GreenRoad, do you enforce any type of training as if today?
No, there is no specific training for that. Like any app, then, when you install WhatsApp on your phone, did you have any specific training on that? We have a FAQ. We have the FAQ, and but they are available probably just in English. So I think probably, but it's a good point. Maybe we should be having a couple of slides or something, for advertising maybe the main functionality or answering the main question, either in the format of a few slides or FAQ in various languages.
Well, what I meant here today, when people giving them a blue key, they need to do drive smart, come to drive, blah 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 blah. So today, people having a GreenRoad, and some of them they are switched to on-duty mode, which is basically we are taking kilometers. Yeah, and with that results, basically Global Journey Management Center, they are helping us also to update the virtual commentary drive. Okay, and majority of this, especially these people who are commuting and they're using on mode business mode. They get updated on the commentary drive, even the commentary drive is not assigned to them. So, and the people, they may use this as a business trip, but in video, we control that the person must have a drive smart, must have. But in GreenRoad, we still, here within Saudi also, we never enforce that the guy, if you want to get an account on GreenRoad, especially if he's going to use on-duty mode, drive smart plus is mandatory. You know, that's my.
But let's consider that there are significant different. You know, when you are giving the blue key or you're giving the key, you enable use and utilize the vehicle. No, that is like the physical key of the vehicle. So we have a legitimate controls that we give the blue key only of people that are, you know, trained with Drive Smart, Commentary Drive, and whatever else we require, because that is an authorization to drive, and the blue key control a company asset. Now consider the GreenRoad is something that you can use in personal life, you can use for personal trip, and it's not associated specifically to the vehicle, it's associated with your mobile device. So there is no need really, it's not an authorization to drive installing GreenRoad, like giving the blue key. It's just a coaching, training, improving ability that we give it to everyone, and we give it also to family members if we want. So, you know, the scope is radically different between enable someone to start a vehicle or using the mixer, the video, versus having GreenRoad. So that's why there is no specific requirement in terms of training to install the app and so on. However, you know, we can put together some training package, you know, with some small video, with the FAQ and so on, that can be used in association with GreenRoad. But I'm not in favor of definitely enforcing a GreenRoad training when we tell people, you know, use it for your family, use it, you know, in personal, for personal trip when you may not never drive a company car.
Yeah, that's 100% agree with that. But my point is that tomorrow the idea of launching the GreenRoad is somehow to get out of the video system completely. So today, if the person using for a family member is not mandatory to have a Drive Smart because it's it's more to a coaching tool for the driver. If he's using on a personal trip, again, it's a coaching. But if the guy, I'm going to take his kilometers, so it means it's a business trip.
Mm-hmm.
And today in Saudi we don't enforce it, because now once you have the mobile, you have the it's individual decision whether he put it on a business mode or a personal mode, or so we don't have I don't know, something in future that people who need to use on a business mode, they need to have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not like we keep it open.
We needed to see, because that will require integration again between GreenRoad and now Quest. So it's something that definitely can go into the roadmap, that if you do business trip or you select on duty modes, somehow trigger something in Quest, and there is a certification that needed to be acquired and so on. But there will be another integration that needed to be investigated and developed. So I don't see it in the immediate to be done, but yeah, it's something that can be done. So if you're using in business mode or in on-duty mode, something get a trigger in Quest in terms of training or certification.
Roberto and Mazen, if you guys allow me, I'll echo Mazen's statements in terms of business mode. I guess it varies from a country to a different country. The number one DIM that we use in Egypt now is GreenRoad, right? So what we do is we issued a procedures and an acknowledgement statement for each individual before using the GreenRoad, with some conditions, right, and some pre-qualifications, including Drive Smart Comment to Drive. With this being said, the way we enforce it, it's pretty much similar to the to issuing a blue key, because in fact the Stambadir Egypt decided to purchase the smartphone and give it out to the drivers, to the employees, right? And from a contractor perspective, we have amended the contract and having the LTC purchase the phone for each LTC driver. So we have certain conditions to an extent that the ownership of the phone will transfer from a company to the individual if he scored certain amount of distance, not distance, certain amount of rating or scoring, right? If he maintained green, so in order to encourage them as well. So I'm kind of happy of sharing that with you, Mazen. It's also available in Arabic and English. It may help.
Yeah, please. Yeah, we can share. Let's learn from each other.
Okay.
Okay.
And Alberto from Mexico was suggesting also that when they do driver smart training, they have a module about the technology and in which they train people in the use of IVVC, Mobileye, GreenRoad, and so on. So it becomes part of the drive smart training.
So Roberto, I don't know if everybody knows, but we've been working with GreenRoad here in North America. I know Junaid knows because he's been helping me out with some of it, but we've done, GreenRoad has done webcasts for our administrators here so that they know, so the HSE team saw specific webcasts for them. And now we're doing one to try to encourage more people to use GreenRoad. This is going to be going on, we get 2 sessions now and they're focused on the driver. So we do what Alberto does, which is we go over it every time we do driver training. It's embedded in the training, but we don't restrict it because people do use it. We're trying to encourage people here to use it on their personal time as well, right? Yeah. But they have done sessions for us.
GreenRoad directly?
Yes, yeah. Okay. But we have to, what I would caution you on is GreenRoad is not, they don't know all of the rules of your country or the regulations. So we scripted with them. They had to present it to me first, and I said what they could and couldn't say.
Yeah, no, I imagine because exactly they have they're not coming from Schlumberger and so on. They may be saying something that it does not work very well with us. So it is either very technical specific about how the application works, answering to people questions and so on. And definitely there should be someone from HSE eventually to correct or to make sure that the message pass doesn't contrast with our rules and our procedure.
Yeah, I hosted them all, but even before I hosted it, I said I reviewed the presentation.
Yeah, the presentation, the notes and so on.
You can't add anything. And then I also corrected, I basically said, you can't say this, you can say this, whatever. I was the lawyer in the room, unfortunately. Yeah.
Good. So they should be having a good already vetted script, at least working and functional for the US. So I guess it can be engaged from other country and do the same process. So they can possibly do some. Hopefully, it doesn't become a shooting to GreenRoad about everything that is not working in those sessions. Okay, good, Junaid. What's next?
Okay. So these are the only slides that I have in relation to GreenRoad. Just wanted to quickly touch upon the MVP, eJourney MVP plan. So we were set to release the eJourney MVP for contractors last week. In fact, this week we were supposed to ensure that we expand to the remainder countries and the remainder geo units. There has been a slight setback. We're just working on that at the moment. Yes, it's a slight setback. So one of the things we all realize is that we will have contractors who will now be using eJourney, and this is something that has never happened in the past. Well, contractors have used it, but they have used it through LDAP, for example, or through our Schlumberger SAP. Now we will have a situation where we may have people who are outside of LDAP, outside of SAP, and these guys will be using eJourney. And therefore, we are required as an organization to ensure that there are certain terms that these contractors agree to before they actually use the eJourney application. And in that regard, when I say we, basically it's the Schlumberger IT guys who are having a review with legal to identify and draft this particular set of agreement, which will be embedded in the app as well. So whenever the contractor team, rather contractor drivers start using the app, they will have to agree to something before they actually log in and start using the application. So that is currently being drafted. In fact, we almost agreed to what it should look like. Well, almost. And then once that is reviewed, it will just be put into the app as a link, and it should be ready to use. So basically,
is a data privacy issue. So before contractors specifically were never logging into eJourney unless they had an LDAP. So all the data privacy terms and conditions were covered by LDAP whenever they were given LDAP account. Now today, because they get created a separate account, which is outside LDAP, is is required that they sign a disclosure that the app and how they acknowledge how the data are going to be used and so on. So the legal team and the data privacy team, put a stop because we didn't have those terms and conditions for contractors spelled out and revised. And basically, when you log in the first time as a contractor, you accept those terms and conditions.
So that will be as you said, it will be a link. They need to go and click on it, and they need to say agreed.
It will be more like a button, yes. Like if you see most of these apps, we usually have something which you agree to before we start using the app. Something similar to that will be put into eJourney as well.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So, well, in the meantime, that doesn't stop us from, preparing for MVP2 or other, having contractors given access to the application, because that's definitely going to happen one way or another. So let's continue doing what you guys are doing. I know you guys are already coordinating with the team in the GGMC and, getting ready for this. So let's continue doing that until this is actually fixed in the eJourney as well.
So I will love to see to get communicated before it start issuing this password to the contractor, so that we are aware that the process started.
Yeah. Because, before we start creating the accounts, you guys will actually know. I mean, we're just collecting data. We're not creating any, or rather, when I say create, registering any of the drivers. Once we start registering, or before we start registering, it will only be done after each of the
green light, exactly, from each geo unit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So before we go live with any country or geo unit, you will be informed, so that we know that everyone is informed, everyone is agreed, and the people will start receiving the notification for the password and so on. So it doesn't surprise anyone. Salah, you had a question? The communication yourself, I guess.
So these are all the updates.
Salah, no, there was a question, I think, for Salah.
Yes, Roberto and the team. Sorry for this. My internet up and down. I couldn't attend the whole call, but I have three main questions. If you allow me to pass, maybe Junaid, he can handle them during the slides. First of all, in every weekly calls and also in our dashboards we send to the product liners, we get this a question: what's the future of the GreenRoad? Because at the moment we have two systems, and the costs of the IVMS plus the spend, the resources we ask the product liners and also the LTC to provide is huge, because they need to buy smartphones. Smartphones sometimes being lost, sometimes being damaged. So it's a matter of deployment and resources. We need to make sure 100% what we are going to do in the future is very clear on the ground as well. This is the first question. So second question, my advice, because we have spent a lot of time for the past 2 years in the training of every single driver, and also the GreenRoad, the GGMC, they sent the acknowledgement forum, which in English only, the 3 pages related to the induction of the GreenRoad. I suggested this to Marat, and Junaid maybe can still remember this. It's better to have a tracking in the quest when we need to create a new certificate. Let's say we call the driving technology, and everyone is briefed about eJourney mobile app, GreenRoad, GGMC Connect, etc., etc. It can be part of the driver smart. Any driver who has that certification is not valid, he will be automatically marked as a non-compliant driver in the eJourney. The third question, if you allow me, I don't want to hijack the whole meeting, but this is very important feedback I have taken from the people on the ground, and it is my duty to mention it to you today and raise it up. GreenRoad system, I like it from A to Z, and helped us a lot during this COVID pandemic. A small development, a small feedback from the people on the ground. It can be an amazing app, amazing tool that we need to utilize it well. So my question, why we can't mirror or copy paste what we have done with the mixed telematics in the past 10 years to be done exactly with the GreenRoad? I have read the roadmap. My concern is only because this is my G-Unit problem about fatigue management, and I have raised this question. I have asked GreenRoad about it. They couldn't do anything so far. I need to be triggered whenever they have whenever they drive more than 2 hours, that the system is reminding them, alert to be sent, etc. Whenever they reach 10 hours, whenever they do any violation, driving more than 16 hours, we need to be notified. So far, the abilities and also the functionalities we have in the mixed telematics is not existing in the GreenRoad. Plus, we are dealing with high-risk countries where the enemy number one, even for the local community, is the driving. We have people like, for example, Libya, Tunisia, Chad, Algeria, Morocco. All these countries are high risk in matter of driving, and 5,000 people are killed. Some of the countries, they have 7,000 people are killed every year. So I will not gamble to switch from this to that unless we have a we have a clear plan what's the future of the GreenRoad. So I can push from the local level for the investment we're gonna utilize for mobile phones. At the moment, 75% of the utilization are coming from people who are using GreenRoad in their personal mobile phones. We didn't buy any mobile phones. So please, if you clarify these 3 points through the presentation, it will be great. I hope that I will be online because the internet is up and down. But thanks and appreciate it. Thank you.
So we are recording the call, so you will have the ability to see it, if you lose connectivity. So the first question, GreenRoad is here to stay. GreenRoad or another application that is a driving improvement monitor on a mobile device is here to stay. When you say that there is a cost associated not buying phone and so on, the phones are supposedly to be there already for communication purpose. So at the end, the phone device typically will be already available. If the device is lost, that is not different from a video that is damaged, either in an accident or because some object in the cabin, or just because it fails in itself. The plan in order not to switch over from video to moving to a full GreenRoad type of solution is up to each geo unit to have in place if they wanted to go that direction. So there is no imposition at the moment, and to switch completely to GreenRoad, but definitely there is a push to adopt a GreenRoad more widely. But as in some cases it was said before, the hardwire solution may be still required. In North America for legal compliance, in other countries for security reason, and so on. But you can rest assured that a mobile device solution for journey management, for driving improvement, maybe in the future also for training and so on, will be required. So the investment in the phone, if that is required, is a good investment. The third question was a bit confused exactly what you were really asking. We can definitely look into fatigue management implementation in GreenRoad, so to have some kind of a warning after 2 hours of driving and so on. That for sure can be done. And I forgot about the second question because there was a lot of statement, not just a question. What was the second question?
No, about the efforts being done, why it can't be just looped in a certificate to be assigned in the course we call the driving.
On the certification and training. So, the different technology are available in different countries. Some countries implemented the camera, other countries didn't implement the camera. Some countries implemented the mobile eye, some other countries didn't implement mobile eye. So insert the technology training into your DriveSmart in the customization that you do for the different country in order to support whatever is the mobile devices or the technology that is implemented in the country. Regarding localization, so form that should be or may be available in different languages is up to the local TNC to localize the training. As a global, we always have all the trainings in English, and then the localization, like we do for everything, a poster and so on, is done by the local TNC. So you can have the localization done by TNC if you need some form in different languages, but I guess in Arabic will be available. Then eventually submit them to the Journey Management Center so we can use them every time those form in localized language are necessary. Junaid, you want to add something?
Yeah, just on the third point. I mean, this is just the way I look at it. I think it may not be a very good idea for us to have all of the features put into GreenRoad. So what I mean to say is, let's say, for example, drivers being alerted 2 hours, when they're driving for 2 hours or 10 hours or 16 hours, if we go to yes, they can develop APIs for us to be able to do that, but getting GreenRoad to do that in their app may not be the best idea. We need to remember we have 2 apps. One is the journey management app, which is eJourney, MVP, whatever we are developing right now. And the other one is GreenRoad, right? What we need to do is have all of these, features, like, for example, 2 hours, 10-hour alerts, vehicle inspection, load securement, all these different ideas that we have. That should be a part of our journey management app, which can be used either for advanced or basic journey management in the future. But GreenRoad should only help us provide data, whether it's GreenRoad, like Roberto said, it could be GreenRoad today, it could be some other mobile-based DIM tomorrow, or even maybe mixed telematics data that we can continue to use in the meantime. We should be taking data from all of this and utilizing that in our journey management app to give these alerts. So that is a part of our roadmap, somewhere towards the end of next year, to have some of these additional features developed. But expecting that from GreenRoad may be too much of an ask from them, specifically speaking.
Okay. Next.
So I have
So
something.
Junaid, before moving, taking the comment from Salah, what will happen with DPS, the DPS points, DPS notifications? Because we are moving here in MCA, most of our vehicles are moving to GreenRoad, and GreenRoad drivers are not getting these messages from DPS.
So again, we are getting ready with the GJMC to work with the data from GreenRoad. The thing is, as of today, the data that is available from GreenRoad is not, to the level of accuracy that we have from mixed telematics. For example, with mix, there are quite a few reasons as to why we get the data much more accurately from mix than we get from GreenRoad. So again, there's a lot more development that GreenRoad has to do in terms of creating certain APIs customized to what we need. And then we can have similar reports for GreenRoad as well. That again is a part of the roadmap, was to be initiated somewhere in October, but I believe we will do that somewhere around March next year. So that's going to take some time. But again, the plan is to have a point system very similar to what we have in our journey management app. Again, there should be limited one of the drawbacks that we have with the driver point system today is that the drivers do not always necessarily get to know what's really happening. They may get to know that they have lost the points. They may not get to know. They may get to know once all their 12 points are lost. And that is something that is a disadvantage to us. And whatever app we are developing and whatever technology we are investing in today, we need to have the ability to ensure that drivers are given communication real time. And that is a part of our roadmap, in the next year. And that's what we want to develop.
Plus the DPS today is a punitive system, and we wanted to have something that is more recognition versus punitive. So there may be a re-engineering of the DPS system coming next year. We have a workshop in January talking about driver recognition versus driver punishment that we have today. You lose points, in case of violation and so on.
No, yeah, I agree on that, and I prefer that approach, right? But now DPS is being used like as a coaching tool, right? Because when you receive an alert from a driver driving exceeding 2 hours or over speeding, you call the driver and say, hey, man, look, take care, right? It's a useful tool for coaching also, and we have it for mixed telematics drivers, but we don't have it for GreenRoad drivers. So hopefully we will have this implementing this new approach soon. Okay.
Yeah, I also want to say something. So this is Artyom. I want to support Salah on the, so let's say, statement dash question number 1, so which is about the duplication of the GreenRoad and another tracking system. So I think most of you remember when we started to do with the GreenRoad a couple of years ago. So the promotion, or let's say the GreenRoad was sold like a like a future replacement of the existing system. And with the same statement, we went to the product lines and talked that they will not need to pay for two systems. The GreenRoad will provide all the features which I don't mixed telematics or whatever system has, etc., etc. But at this point, we understand, and GreenRoad does not support a lot of features which Mix does. Now product clients asking, so why we need to install and use GreenRoad since we have kind of good enough system which we used to use and which we used to have before, and we understand how it works, etc., etc., and it helps us to manage our drivers, etc., etc., right? So, and at the end of the day, the motivation to implement a GreenRoad. So, finally, the KPO for implementing of the GreenRoad, like 80% of the drivers. So this becomes unreal, so not realistic. So which is because of because of the people they're kind of they don't believe in into the technology which we're talking about. So that's a problem actually. So, and I don't know, that's why I think they're asking for the plan for the future, etc., etc. So we need something that we can say to the product lines, something honest, right? So that we can say to the product lines to motivate them to implement the new technology. So unfortunately, now after 2 years, so we are not at the point where we wanted to be.
Okay, noted. Next, Junaid. Have you done your part?
That's it in terms of the technology updates. We have another 17 minutes.
Okay, so what time is it? Just a few minutes left for me. Just generic journey news in terms of driving. First is the probably you've seen the communication from the TNC organization. There is a new template to review accident or to present accident for the review. So start using it also for the automotive accident. Let me share with you, and it was circulated a couple of weeks ago, or started circulated about a couple of weeks ago. So this is the template in order to use it to review any type of accident, of course, also in terms of accident. So start switching to this one, whenever you have the opportunity, or for the next automotive accident that you are reviewing in your geo unit. And talking about accident investigation, there are some accidents inside the system that are 3, 4, 5 weeks old and still do not have any type of pictures, evidence. There are no investigation is not done, and so on. I don't want to transform the meeting into a blame geo unit by geo unit, but the accident in which you're late in terms of providing investigation details. So just a reminder to everyone to try to be prompt in starting updating information and the quest report whenever the evidence they become available. And also for automotive accident, also use the early notification template whenever you have an automotive accident. In 2 or 3 days after the event, you should be able to produce and prepare the early accident notification. Again, this was circulated by the TNC. Let me know when that is done and send it to me so I can take also a look at it and so on before it's posted and published and so on. But, I can also then circulate myself to the rest of the driving community. So accident, uploading the correct information, in updating the investigation, producing the early notification alert, and using the template in order to review the investigation with the geo unit, and also invite me whenever there is definitely a review of a major or a serious type of event. Then depending on the time zone, I may be participating or not, but let me know whenever you are reviewing an automotive accident at the geo unit or basin level. Talking about of training, There was a few questions about virtual commentary drive and how virtual commentary drive can be used in this pandemic with the limitation that we have during the pandemic, also for high-risk country. So I would say, each unit, if you wanted to adopt a virtual commentary drive in specific cases and so on, send me your plan, your proposal. What is the target population that you want to address with a virtual commentary drive? There is a baseline using GreenRoad, but we needed to complement it with additional information, particularly in the high-risk country, because it's not going to be enough just having the GreenRoad data. So that could be, maybe reviewing some of the in-vehicle camera footage for that driver. Random sampling or so many, minutes of driving in order to detect, violation or bad habits and so on. It could be having, coaching session between the driver trainer and the driver, remotely via webcast, where, maybe the in-vehicle camera video can be reviewed in order to coach the driver about bad habits and so on. So, you can customize in which condition to use a virtual commentary drive and what are the data points to be used in addition to the GreenRoad data in order to validate the people without a formal commentary drive as we used to do, and also which is the target population for this virtual commentary drive, which are the people that, in terms of risk-based approach, is going to be a good replacement without losing in terms of effectiveness versus, a real commentary drive. So we can have a solution that is, geo-unit by geo-unit or country by country, depending on the risk level and the risk assessment done. Whenever that is done and defined, then remember to update in Quest the country journey management plan, so we reflect all the changes that happened during the pandemic, virtual commentary drive, and maybe other changes that have been driven by the pandemic, because we adapted it to the new way of working. In terms of recertification of driver, of course, we have issues because there is again still limited ability to people to move around. So we are having issues about revalidating the training of trainers and so on. Also there, an option that we can have, if we cannot send people, we cannot send master trainer around in order to revalidate the training. And, in some country that may not be an issue because there is a, local master training. In some other country that needed to depend to travel from other countries, it could be an issue. So in this case, we can have an exemption and submit it to me again, what is your plan to extend the certification and the training of our trainer? And what are the proposal, and I will take a look to them, and we can have a discussion in order to see what is the most reasonable and practical thing to do. In some country that I've discussed recently, what we have done is extending based on the fact that the trainer is still a very active trainer, so has been having the opportunity to provide X number of training every month and so on. And then what we have done, we did a peer-to-peer revalidation. So a trainer that do and uses the assessment form that typically is used by a master trainer in order to review the training practice of the other trainer. So trainer A, even if it's not a master trainer, reviews using the assessment form trainer B, and then trainer B does on trainer A. So we have a peer-to-peer type of assessment, and this can be an additional element to add to the exemption process in order to extend the validity of our training. And then last point I wanted to talk about is that the GreenRoad KPO. Artem was mentioning that is unrealistic and so on. So I had a discussion with the various basin HSE, and I had the feedback from Ed, from Jody, and from Marat in RCA. To change the normalization, so the number of drivers, instead of doing as we do today, we take the number of people that are certified in DriveSmart, or they have a DriveSmart actually assigned, to use the people that have a valid commentary drive. What are the criteria behind this idea that valid commentary drive is a better indicator of who are today the active driver. Because versus the Drive Smart that is assigned, it can be removed. You know, it requires a lot of administrative work to be removed and to maintain alignment with the actual people that are still driving. Commentary driving in some countries is valid for 6 months, in some other countries valid for 1 year, and so on. So the validity of commentary drive is phasing out now that we are basically 1 year in the pandemic for a lot of people that have not been regularly driving because they didn't have the ability to recertify the commentary drive. So it tends to be a bit better indicator of who are today the active drivers. So for instance, if you have a pool of LTC driver, and then you have not using them very often because the reduction on the activity, because some of them couldn't work and so on. So very likely the commentary drive on many of those LTC has phased out in terms of validity and so on. So using the commentary drive, valid commentary drive, it gives you a better indication which are your active drivers. The same for office staff that may having Drive Smart assigned because they occasionally are, I don't know, renting a car, driving to the field, driving to see a client. So they use, personal vehicle for a business trip. So they needed to have a commentary drive and a Drive Smart assigned. So Drive Smart may be assigned and remain assigned, even if these people are not driving for quite a long time. And while the commentary drive again has phased out in terms of validity. So I circulated to the basin HSE what are the measure of the KPO, how it looks like the matrix today using valid commentary drive. Of course, there's a bit of improvement for your unit. I'm waiting now for North America, the feedback from North America and Middle East, and then if there is an agreement from all the basin HSE, we are going to change how the matrix is calculated using the commentary drive versus the people with assigned Drive Smart. And that's all. I took some note about your question or your suggestion and so on. So we're going to take a look at them and see what is possible to be implemented. So thank you very much for all the feedbacks and the criticism as well. And okay, well taken. We are going to see how it's possible to improve going forward, particularly with the GreenRoad. That seems to be still quite a hot topic in many geo units. Anything else? Any last question? No, it seems not. I'm going to circulate with you the GreenRoad KPO calculated with the commentary drive, so you can also take a look and see how things will look forward. Going forward, if we go ahead, but basically is an improvement in all the geo unit because let me show it here. So these are, so you can briefly take a look at it right now. But is an improvement across the border because, of course, there are a lot less people with valid commentary drive versus Drive Smart assigned. And changing Drive Smart, going there, removing and reassign it, later on in a few months is going to be a lot of administrative burden that doesn't really add much value. That's why the idea of switching to commentary drive. Okay.
Roberto, any comment you might have regarding the driving training update actualization?
In January, we are going to have a workshop. The list of the people participating on this workshop regarding to drive has not been officialized or approved by the power above. But the idea is having 4 topics in this workshop in January. One of the topics will be updating the driving training, how we can modernize it. Another topic is, as I mentioned, is about driver recognition and DPS and so on. How to modernize using more analytics and so on, and changing from punitive to more proactive and rewarding. How to communicate to drivers is another topic of one of the 4 workshops that we have on driving. So how to reach drivers. Today, again, we reach, and there's some comment that Mazen did the same, we are sending emails, we are poster and so on, but very often they don't get to the drivers, particularly the LTC population. So how we can be more communicative, more open, and reach directly all the drivers and so on. And then there was another 4th topic that at this moment I don't remember. So there are 4 topics to discussion about driving, and in order not to get some kind of idea, agreement, and so on how we can proceed, move forward, and modernize the entire driving process that we have today. So at the moment, I don't have any news because it's a topic of discussion for January. But I'm investigating companies that are providing training, you know, to UPS, DHL, and so on. They use it via micro-learning. It's more an ongoing training versus as we do today. It's a class every 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You know, where you sit and, you know, you look at slides, you know, maybe some videos and so on. It's more ongoing engagement, micro-learning type of engagement versus, you know, a one-off. So there are ideas out there, but there is no yet any decision taken. Will be up to discussion in January.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Caroline, you were asking if we can add the drivers that use InThink to what? To the GreenRoad database? You know, what was your suggestion? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, one of the suggestions we had early on was that, like, we have drivers here that use InThink. They're never going to use GreenRoad because they only drive a company vehicle that requires them to log into the InThink device. And, you know, could we, like, they are using a driving monitor, which is what we're trying to encourage with GreenRoad. Why don't we count them against sort of as using GreenRoad? Although I know they're not using GreenRoad, they are using the approved driving monitor for us, right?
Oh, okay, I understand now. No, the metric is to improve the deployment of GreenRoad, not just using driving improvement monitor. Yeah. So if you know you're using or polluting the data using, or people are using a different device, you're not effectively monitoring anymore the GreenRoad adoption. So yeah, that's okay. Okay, thank you very much, and talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, team.
Yeah,
and we're going to circulate the recording of it. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
I'm ready to go.